My name is Brittany Knox, and I'm here today with Wesley. We will be recording this session on exploring conflict. For recording purposes, could you please state your name and acknowledge you are being recorded?
My name is Wesley Knox. I understand I'm being recorded.
Okay, great. Well, my first question for you today, Wesley, is what is your perspective on the roles men have in our society, and how do you feel about that?
The primary role I view men as having in society is to be the hardworking primary breadwinner.
Okay, primary breadwinner, so you'll be the head of household, earning
The
the
most
bulk
money in
of
the
the money.
house. Yep.
Okay, and how do you feel about that?
I feel like something that's getting harder and harder to do in society because as a web designer, I only can make so much money. There really is a cutoff point before it just becomes unrealistic to make more on average, you know, and with women being in fields like nursing primarily, where you know you get out of college and you get your job, and in no time you can end up pulling 60 grand, or in psychology, eventually get your own practice going, and you can make unbelievable amounts of money. And that's just not something that's really in the books for me. I can't achieve that in my career field of choice because I love doing it. I don't want to change it.
Okay. And if this situation continues, what is the worst possible outcome that could happen?
But I think as time goes on, with how society is so judgmental, you know, friends and family can end up seeing you as, to put it bluntly, like pathetic, and that can really start to affect your self-esteem and your pride and, self-worth. I believe that's the worst possible outcome.
Yeah. And how does that make you feel?
Well, it's scary, to think, I'm still young-ish, so I mean, I can't imagine for, someone maybe in their mid-40s and on up that can't get out of that spot they're stuck in. I would imagine be with how judgmental society is, that it would be even worse for them.
Okay. And if the situation is addressed, what are some of the best possible outcomes that can happen?
Well, I think it would take stress off of, the viewpoint of being a primary breadwinner. And, people would understand that's just not something that's, as common anymore in modern times. And I think that would lead to better self-esteem, better self-worth.
Okay, great. And how does that make you feel for that to be a possibility for you?
Well, I mean, that's great and everything, for me, it's like when I tell people what I do, some people it just doesn't even matter if they look at how much you're getting paid rather than how much you love what you're doing. That's where the real pay is. It's most of the time it's not even like you're actually working. It's like you're playing all day and doing something you love. So hopefully that answered that question.
Yeah. And my last question for you today, Wesley, is what strategies will foster the best possible outcomes to happen?
Well, I think the best strategies would be in society to not just promote but accomplish equal pay. And people would need to understand that in modern times, there's really no sex that applies to who's the primary breadwinner anymore. It's a gap that's closing more and more. So if people could realize that and the judgment would go away, I think that those two things, equal pay and then better judgment, would be great things to help accomplish that.
Are there any personal strategies and behavior changes that you think you could take to foster that as well?
Yeah, like, let's say hypothetically that never happens, and people just remain judgmental. And the only defense that I would have is to just try to pay no mind and just realize that I'm happy with what I do. And it may not make the most money in the world, but as far as happiness in what I do, it's priceless.
All right, great. Well, that does conclude our interview today. Thank you so much.